The top 3 tools that are just, if you're kind of just trying to like in a chat mode, easy to use, that kind of hits the bases is going to be Runway References, ChatGPT, and Flux Kontext. All right, welcome back everyone to Denoised. We're going to do sort of another deep dive episode today, looking at AI filmmaking workflows and what sort of the typical workflow that a lot of people figured out is happening, tools that are used along each step of the way, and also how that's changing a bit with more impressive video-to-video models.
Yeah, and if you missed our last episode, we did a deep dive on ComfyUI and some of the fundamentals of image generation and image workflows. Give that one a go before this one, if you like.
Yeah, check that one out. That goes into the nitty-gritty of like how AI image generation works. And this one, we're going to be a little bit more in flow of
more creator-driven.
Yeah, and just sort of the workflow and different tools. And most of these are going to be off the shelf tools, websites that are pretty consumer-friendly to use, but sort of how you have to kind of think about the process each step of the way. And so a lot of this is adapted. Well, first off, I started building out this flowchart because I started getting asked questions. You know, people are like, I want to, make an AI movie, or I want to use AI to help make a film. What do I do? Where do I start?
Where do I start?
Then I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, I'm like a bunch of different tools and options would pop into my head. And it's like, there are a lot of questions of like how you want to think about this. And also there are multiple tools along the way that you sort of have to use ish. Tools are getting better at kind of integrating to kind of be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So you don't have to hop around between a bunch of tools. But we'll cover all the tools just so you can, because some are better at some things and some are better at different things. And it depends too of like what you're need. It's like, do you need a more action-based shot? Do you need more a static shot? Do you have characters performing, characters talking, multiple characters? So there are all kind of things you got to
and regardless of what tools you use, we have a very agnostic workflow here that you'll find beneficial just in general. As the tools change and evolve, the flowchart here that we share won't really change.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this also evolved from watching all the creators on Cinema Synthetica, the AI on the Lot filmmaking competition, and they all basically use some form of this at its heart. It's like text, image to video. Yeah, that's sort of the gist of it, and that was sort of in some fashion the workflow that all of them use today. Also, that is still a good workflow too. If you just have a computer, you don't have any resources, you don't have a camera, you don't have like access to film some stuff, you can make something visual, a film.
Oh yeah.
Just using your computer with that workflow.
You can make a pretty convincing film if you do it right.
Yeah, and have a good story. And this all goes to the root of, good story and good and something to tell.
Amazing filmmaking
techniques.
Amazing visuals won't save you from a bad story.
Exactly. All right, so first up, starting out with, you got to have a good story.
Yeah.
And assuming you've got a good story, you know what you want to say. You want a shot design. That story. You could do this yourself, and obviously each step of the way you could kind of figure this out yourself, or you could lean into some of the AI models, LLM. So in this case, for the tech stuff, the general LLMs are going to come into play. So either Google Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT. Gemini 2.5, I've been hearing a lot of really good stuff, and I've been using it a little bit more and more, especially with like shot design or kind of creating prompts for shots. I use Claude a lot. I found Claude's always been sort of the best at creative writing tasks and stuff like this. So you could start off with...
Is it Higgsfield specifically designed for stuff like this?
Higgsfield would be more later on of like you want, once you're like, you want to start generating images or turning images into video.
Got it.
So this is still in the kind of ideation planning phase. Yeah. Like, so first off, you could figure out, okay, I want to make an action scene of like a guy, being chased through a mine tunnel on a mine car.
Temple Run again?
What kind of shots would I need? You can help brainstorm the shots. And then from there, you could also help generate the prompt to generate your image. So go from text to image. Before that, though, you probably want to figure out a consistent style or visual of how you want all the shots to look. So you don't generate a new shot each time and it has a completely different visual look.
Correct.
A couple ways you could do that. One is you describe what kind of look you're going for and you create a descriptive text prompt of the style.
Right.
Other way, which I talked about in Comfy, is you can make a LoRa.
Way better. And
Yeah.
you can guide it with an existing image.
Uh-huh.
So if you have like a cyberpunk 2077 type look, futuristic Blade Runner-esque thing, then give the model imagery of that city. Mm-hmm. And it'll sort of start to get a good look and feel of that city from just a few models, from a few images.
Would you use existing images of just like reference images from other movies that have the style you're looking for, or would you try to generate like in Midjourney images that have the style and then train it on those images?
I don't know. I mean, there's an ethical question there. I would just generate stuff specifically for influencing generation. If that makes sense.
Right. Create an image. Like, let's say if I create text to image in Stable Diffusion in that style, 20 images or so with the cyberpunk style, and feed that to train the LoRa.
Yeah.
Okay. Other way for creating style, if you're working in Midjourney, Midjourney has srefs, which are these codes that trigger and call up a specific style.
So cool.
Yeah. And you could also, similar to the LoRa, you can give it a bunch of images and it'll create a style that'll call it up by that. This only works if you're working in Midjourney, but it works really well.
Yeah, and the technical term is style transfer. So it'll sort of take whatever the image is generating and then apply like a filter on top of it, a style transfer filter.
Yeah. And then the other way is you can use reference images. And so some of the tools like Runway References, ChatGPT, you can, or Google Imagen,
Flux Kontext.
You can give it another image and say you want the style of this image and not necessarily any of the details, but you just want the aesthetic look of that image. And you may have to run it a few times, but you can use that as a consistent to try to get.
That's how we got to all of the Spirited Away Miyazaki stuff. Those were all style transfers.
Right, but that was it knew that style, and those were just people calling up that style.
Exactly.
They weren't giving it an image of like from Spirited Away and then giving it
ChatGPT already did that for you.
ChatGPT knew what that style was. But let's say you're trying to create a unique original style.
Yeah.
You can give it an image and your image of what you're trying to generate and try to have it match that style.
Yeah, like a Wes Anderson film has a very specific look.
Original style. Right. We want you to make original stuff.
Yes. I was just pulling an example.
But yes, that is a very distinctive style. Okay, so you want to so this helps because shot to shot, you want to make sure each new first frame feels consistent, like it's in a consistent world with a consistent cinema look.
Yeah, and this is where you as a creator really matter, right?
Yeah.
Like storyboards is what's going to drive everything down the pipe. And so if you have an eye for blocking, eye for frame composition, for lighting, for cinematography, this is when all of that's going to come into play.
And then the other thing that's going to be an issue with consistency is characters and making sure that your characters look the same shot to shot. And so ways to do that, similar to the style, you could either, if it's sort of a generic-y character, you can just have a very descriptive text prompt. This is sort of what a lot of people are currently doing with VO3, because VO3 is currently just text to video. There is you can't give it a frame. So in some of the launch videos, it was like the SWAT, the police action video that Dave Clark did, but that's kind of an easy one to do because the faces are kind of covered. We're not really seeing the details of their faces, and it's something that's sort of easy to prompt and get a very consistent looking physical character.
Right.
But if you're, actually building characters where we see their face and they're talking and performing, LoRa's is another option as well. You could train it on a character.
Exactly. And, as human beings, I bash this with a hammer every episode, is like, we're so susceptible to looking at people's faces. So the minute that you have a slightly uncanny valley type face, a face that doesn't look quite natural, like instantly your project breaks. So you want to spend a lot of time and effort here. Yeah,
and then we'll talk about actually making them perform and talk later, but that's the other issue. And then also, going back to the tools that we've talked about where you can just sort of give it a single shot.
Yeah.
You a lot of other tools. If you just have a photo of a person, that can sometimes work. And you like Runway, you just give it a photo of the character and say, I want them in this scene. Hopefully, sometimes it'll recreate the person pretty accurately.
Sure.
Another trick that you could try to do is to create a character sheet. So a single image that would be much more of like your front face, your side profiles, full body. So like a character reference sheet.
Yeah.
That's a single image that you can give to these models.
And that is done in animation all day long, right? When they're in character development, they call them pose sheets, where all that is created in CG traditionally, but now you're doing it in Photoshop and then putting that up onto your ControlNet model. Mick Mumpets does a good job.
He does, and he has a whole comfy workflow where you can give it a single image of the character, and then it'll create an entire pose sheet.
Yeah, ideally, if you have 10 characters in your film, every of those 10 characters needs their own LoRa based on, and then they'll need their own pose sheet.
Even with a LoRa, you'd want a pose sheet?
A pose sheet would be like, let's say you have a hero male character. So the pose sheet would be male standing like this, standing in the back, side, 3/4 view, face close up, face smiling.
But no, I guess I'm saying, would you train the LoRa on that pose sheet, or where does the two, you have the character LoRa and you have the pose sheet, so how do the two come into play if you need both?
The LoRa build happens before the pose sheet.
Okay, right.
You use the LoRa to create the pose sheet, and then the pose sheet influences the generation because that character's moving in space.
Okay, I see.
So it'll use both the LoRa and the pose sheet together to figure out what that human should look like at whatever angle or whatever framing.
Okay, got what you're saying. Okay, so now we've got, so these are sort of the foundational things you kind of want to figure out before going in to start making your first frames of what is your character, are your characters going to look like, what's your style going to look like.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't get it, but like if you're having a location.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, the scene, the location. One trick that I did with the AWS, the Amazon thing.
Nova?
Oh, no, I'm talking about that Culver Cup filmmaking comp thing that I competed in. It was, I had a 3D room in Unreal, but then you can export a 360 panorama.
Oh, interesting.
And then I style transfer the entire panorama, but then that way I could just use portions of the background.
Oh, I love that.
So that if it was like a conversation like this, it was like, oh, if I had the reverse shot, I would at least have a consistent background scene.
Yeah, and spatial consistency in image generation is still a frontier thing.
Yeah.
I know Flux Kontext has a decent way of approaching that, and so does ChatGPT. But again, you're essentially shortcutting that process by using a 3D model of a world and giving
because they have like a world understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to keep going back to it, but I think the top three tools that are like, just if you're kind of just trying to like in a chat mode, easy to use, that kind of hits the bases is going to be Runway References, ChatGPT, and Flux Kontext.
Yep.
Those are sort of the top three of just being like, here's an image of a thing in a world. And
that's only sort of state of the art today. Like,
as we're recording this.
And that is only for this pre-production portion of the production that we're in.
And now we take that and everything we're doing, and now we start generating the first frames for each of the shots that we want.
Yep.
And so this is either going to be text to image, merging it with if we have LoRa's or if we have reference images in our chat interface with some of these tools. And then also this is where also using any of the LLMs helps come into play to help you refine and
structure the
prompt, help you write out the prompt, at least give you, it's also good to just have it write the prompt as a starting point, and then you can kind of come in and tweak it, but they'll write much more detailed prompts than I'll think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, there are some VLMs, visual language models out there. I haven't done too much research into this, but you can give your image to a VLM and then it'll caption it for you correctly and give you a suggested prompt. And
so if you have a reference frame, you're like, I want this kind of shot, give it that frame, turn it into a text prompt, and then use that.
As an input too.
I think Gemini is pretty good at that because Gemini is multimodal, and you can give it input images and videos, and it'll describe or tell you what's happening.
Yeah, and remember what we covered in the last video, the clip encoding.
Yeah.
It's bi-directional, so you can go from text to image to text back and forth pretty easily, and that's what VLMs do.
Okay. So that's another good trick too. If you have a reference shot where you're like, I want to replicate this type of angle, feed it, turn it into a text prompt, and then generate your first frame. Okay, so also just to round up with sort of the common tools for generating the first frame, this is going to be all of your text and image generators. So Midjourney, Runway, Ideogram, Flux, ChatGPT, Imagen. Reference, you could use it with the references feature, which we talked about. Also, the fourth one is Imagen as well, Google's Imagen, which does have pretty good, you can give it reference, you can give it a character reference, a style reference, location, and it does a pretty good job of having that chat conversational workflow to help modify and
as an
generate
AI
image.
creator, that is the key, right? Otherwise, it's just a random thing.
Yeah, the more control you can have, the better. That's the thing you're going to be fighting all the time. And then we've talked about this before too, but you could also kind of do a hybrid approach with Blender or Unreal and very sort of kit bash a scene together, but at least roughly frame up a shot and use that as a base image to style transfer.
Yeah, if you're pretty handy with Unreal Engine, I mean, use metahumans, pose them, right? And then use a camera to kind of block the characters and then bring that still image into one of these things as reference.
And then there might be a final stage too. Like sometimes you might get an image, but maybe it's like 90% of the way there of what you want, but it still has some issues, but it's like not worth it to keep regenerating it. So then you might take the image and you might have to modify it either with Inpainting to change specific aspects of it. And most of the image tools have some form of Inpainting. So like Midjourney, Anagram.
Explain to the viewers.
Yeah, so Inpainting is like, okay, we wanted to keep this image as is, but like I want to change just like this computer to
regional correction.
Yeah, I want to keep everything the same, but I want to change my coffee cup to like a big chalice or something. And so then you would take the image and you would like paint over the coffee cup, and then you would text prompt to make it a chalice.
Yeah.
And it would generate the chalice, but blend it, theoretically, hopefully blend it in with the image.
Oh, yeah. It does it really good. I mean, most Inpainting models are really good.
Photoshop has Firefly built in, and that is one thing that is pretty good at of taking, and also, I mean, sometimes in some cases, you might just straight up need traditional Photoshop.
Yeah,
just modify
exactly.
an image.
And don't be shy to go back and forth between traditional tools and AI and back.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be AI all the way. So like a lot of times,
this stuff still needs a lot of massaging.
Yeah, and a lot of times even just traditional compositing or trying to think of building out your elements separately might be the better option. We won't get into that here because that gets a little bit more complicated, and this is kind of more of a vibe filmmaking flow we're talking about.
I find that with multiple characters, it's probably easier for you to generate a consistent character and then composite them in Photoshop and then take that reference frame as your image generation, video generation frame.
So generate the characters as separate elements and build it all as one frame inside Photoshop.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be exactly, geometrically correct and stuff like that. The generation will take care of it, but at least you'll get, your 3 hero characters in the same shot on that reference frame. If you try to just generate that in ComfyUI, you're looking at a pretty crazy workflow, like 3 different LoRa's, 3 different character sheets.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen some hacks now with Flux Kontext out of like combining images into a single image and giving that to Flux Kontext, and that working pretty well in Comfy.
You've showed that in one of the episodes.
I think, yeah. Right. There was like it was a hack or something.
Exactly. You can get 5 people in there.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, I've seen Runway demos where you could just kind of, I think they built in a sketch tool into Runway because people were doing this so much, but you could just kind of roughly sketch out how you want the scene blocked. And it sometimes does a pretty good understanding of replicating that in the image.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you've got your first frame. And then you want to turn that into a video. And now there are most of the tools will support image to video, first frame image. And some tools have more control where you could give it both first frame and last frame, or first, middle, last frame. But the general broad overview of like all the tools that will support image to video, got your Runway, Video 3. Midjourney just launched video, and that's been pretty impressive. So
people are impressed by it.
Playing Hailuo, the Chinese models that we talked about that also get really good reviews. Luma AI.
Yeah. You can also run this on your own. So 2.1, which is by Alibaba, is a very popular ComfyUI video generator model.
Seed Dance.
Seed Dance.
That was a new one too. From ByteDance.
Yeah, if you have like a RTX 3090, 4090, like last year's GPUs, I would say like a 720p video for 30 seconds, you're looking at like an hour or so. Like, it's not that terrible. It's like old school CG render timelines.
And then, I mean, this part is always still feels a bit weird to me because it's like you do all this work to get the image, the first frame, but then it's just like, well, I'll just give the first frame to the model and like,
go for
let it do its thing. Yeah. So some of the models, you'll be able to give it a text prompt to try to describe what you're looking for.
Yes.
And some of them, or a lot of them now have sort of pre-built camera moves which can also help get what you want.
Yeah. You want to resolve ambiguity as much as possible.
Yeah. Runway and Kling and their older models, they had a kind of a camera control movement where you could sort of map out how you want the camera to move. And Runway, that was only in Gen 3. It's not in Gen 4 yet.
Okay.
So Gen 4 doesn't have as many features as Gen 3 does, but I'm sure eventually that will get added. We didn't mention the one you mentioned, Higgsfield.
Yeah, Higgsfield is specifically built for cinematic shots.
I would say it's a bit more for like advertising or like very dynamic high motion shots for like an advertising spot.
Sure. But try them all.
I mean, a lot of these is just like whatever tool gets you the shot.
The pro here is all these tools are really easy to use and they're relatively cheap, right? If you're looking at like how many cents, how many dollars per video, it's not that much. It's not like going to break your bank. The con here is the control is still something that we're all trying to figure out.
Yeah, getting the control of what you want, which there are some good work examples a little bit later. But other thing that might come into play too. If you have characters and you need them to talk, then now you got to introduce another tool.
Yes.
So that could be something like Hedra, which has really good character performance. You can give it an image of the first frame and give it direction and the audio.
Maybe HeyGen.
HeyGen's another one. Yeah. Runway Act 1.
Yeah.
Which also has not been updated for Gen 4, so it's still Gen 3.
Okay.
And then there might be elements of compositing these things, because it's like you might have elements of like where the character talks and you need the lips to move, but then also you need camera movement. So this might come into play where you have to start compositing or treating like the performance separate from the camera move. And
I would say VO3 probably does the best job of animating faces for speech and matching speech.
Yeah, but VO3 is only
so
text
limited.
to video. So you're going to have a very descriptive prompt. That's why it worked really well in that commercial, the PJ Ace did.
The Liquid Death one.
Not the Liquid Death. It was a gambling.
Clashy, something
like that. Yeah, but it was
that was a good one.
It was good, but it was like every shot was a single scene shot with their own characters in that shot, so you didn't have to worry about a character looking the same shot to shot.
And there wasn't dialogue, right? There was no dialogue.
No, there's dialogue. It was the news interviewer kind of interviewing people, but every shot was like a different person, different interviewer, so it didn't matter.
And that's why you see a lot of sci-fi stuff with like masks on, no faces, because it's still hard.
It's, easier to deal with the performances, but stuff's getting better. I mean, Hedra's new version is really good. We're testing that with a project, so we'll report back. So just another thing to think about,
I mean, Joey, what about this? Like, can the human performances be actual humans with a real camera, and then you cut to your AI generated shot?
Right, and that's the thing too. You'd have a hybrid workflow of real people in front of a green screen, or using another workflow like Lightcraft Jet Set,
and then you new composite that human's face onto your generation. If it's
I see. So actually just do the face onto the generation. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That could,
if you're good enough at nuke. I was
gonna say, how complicated is that in nuke? If you're
you got to match move the camera and then take that match move camera into your generation, so the generation's from the same angle. And if it's a static shot, it's fairly easy. But if it's moving, then you're warping that face.
Yeah. I was thinking of more just like if you shoot a person in front of a green screen with something like Lightcraft with a lo-fi 3D background, and then you take the background separate and process the background separately.
That totally works too.
And then run it through Beeble for relighting, so the whole scene matches. That's another workflow that a lot of people are exploring.
I think the AI faces and AI speech is still that's not there yet.
I mean, we've seen AI is very good at these like one-shot action shot generations, but having that consistency shot to shot.
Imagine a 90-minute film with there's like hundreds of lines of dialogue. Right? You want a real human.
It gets tricky there. So that's high-level overview. That's why there are a lot of steps and tools. There are tools that are sort of combining this all, so you can kind of do it in one stop. So like FreePic has a lot, like kind of one-stop shop. Even Hedra, a lot of them are connecting to the APIs with other tools, so you don't have to bounce around a lot. But another thing to think about that's sort of changing a lot is since Luma AI released the Restyle Video feature.
Yeah, that's great.
That's been blowing up, and that's been a kind of shift. Like thinking about this completely, where you can just shoot a very lo-fi object blocking video. I mean, with John Fingers, his demos are crazy.
John Fingers are so like the one where he's just like swimming on a carpet, but it's an astronaut in space.
It's like someone with the sheet moving, and then it's like a stormy ship.
He's really imaginative.
Or he had like two shoes, like pulling the strings of the shoes, and then turned into like a race car.
Race car,
So this, and I mean, we are quote old. Like I just can't imagine what some like kids who take this and run away with it, because it's like it could just kind of you can just reimagine. You don't even have to have the same rules. Of like matching a shot. Like if I think of a race car shot, I would still probably be like, I need some toy cars, and I'll turn the toy cars into race cars.
But and it doesn't have to be video to video. Think about it this way. This will blow your mind. You can go from video to video to video to video. Like you can keep iterating on it in Luma to get the quality and the stuff that you need. And I'm sure Luma would like that, because that's like generation.
So this type of workflow, I think, could just totally throw a lot of the stuff we just talked about out the window.
Well, not necessarily, because you still need the solid image references, but now you're shifting to a more of a video to video workflow.
Well, it's like, what if I just take my phone and I could just shoot with a few people, or I could just shoot with some toys on a table, and now we've got like an epic action film. But also I like, when I'm like, it's crazy that you just give a first frame to the image and then you like let it do its thing.
Yeah.
But now, Luma is mimicking the actual movement that you do.
Cinematography, everything.
And Luma does take a first frame. You can either not give it a first frame or you can give it a first frame. So you could combine the elements up to making that first frame. And then that camera control could be, Luma, or it could also be a Blender or an Unreal Engine recorded camera movement.
Exactly.
You restyle the first frame, and then now you're really driving what the image should look like and how the camera should move in that space.
Yeah, the biggest benefits to physical production and principal photography is character performance, direction from the director on the performance, and then cinematography. Like you want to preserve those aspects of filmmaking as much as possible. And I think Luma allows you to do that.
And yeah, I mean, video to video has been pretty slim on who's offered it. I mean, Runway was the only one that did it for a while. And it's still, they haven't updated it. It's still only for Gen 3. I mean, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Gen 4 has video to video.
Cristobal. Let's
go. You want to announce it on the podcast, Cristobal? Come on.
Yeah.
So also once that comes out too, then it's going to really be, because Gen 4 itself right now is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So once the video to video comes out, that's going to be another.
And it's such an exciting time we live in. Like all of these tools we're talking about, they're all great.
Yeah, everything.
Right? Not one of them is
especially in
lackluster.
House. Like if you look at the stuff, like people posting things like from 2 years ago, and it was like just abstract, bizarre. world.
Like Vincent Van Gogh style transfer. That's all we got.
Yeah,
a few
and
years
so like
back.
how fast this has come in just 2 years.
I know.
It's crazy,
and it's already pretty usable. But we're gonna get to a point where all this stuff is effortlessly usable.
Yeah, and there won't be a massive flowchart workflow.
Yeah, you won't need Joey and Addy anymore. But hey, man, we'll move into
have AI
cooking
generated
show.
Joey and Addy. Yeah, but I think good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a lot of the tools and workflow that I've been seeing. But if you've got your own workflow or other kind of things that you've been using that we didn't cover, please let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear it.
Let us know if this is the type of content you want to see. We'd love to make more of this stuff, but it's up to you, the viewer. So give us a like and give us a comment.
The power is yours. All right. See you next time. Bye.